Hello and welcome back to our Dominions 4 playthrough. Since last time I've done a few things here, it is early winter of the third year now, it's about maybe like 30 or so, about 40 or so turns into the game now, and we've done a few things in the meantime. First and foremost, we're still sieging with a really big army. We're still sieging the people at Vanhelm over there. I've taken the liberty of capping off a few places. I've actually built a temple up here so that we can recruit a few of these wolf tribe shamans. And what these people are going to do is that they have level 1 nature magic, and then we're able to boost them up to level 2 nature magic in battle. And these guys should effectively help us out by being what is effectively healers for our troops. As you may have noticed, I think I talked about this, but last battle since we took the Throne of Fire, we are able to generate these fire mages, so I've been constantly doing that, and I've stopped generating our own grand Thaumaturg mages, simply because we don't really need a lot of them right now. I'm sending more and more mages out into the wilderness, essentially, and I'm getting these guys to just kind of advance up into the lands over here, and they're just going to help do some site searching and whatnot. And I've actually taken a look at our provinces, and we found 2 sites. Actually, did we find any more over here? We found 3 sites. We found Wormwood Marsh over here, which generates some earth gems, and we found 2 things over here in this tile. And I can show you guys all the names. In Remnica, we've found the Bronze Pillar and Smolder Stone. Both of them generate fire gems, so we're getting a nice little stash of those. And we're just currently in the process of finding more of them as we siege the doors of the fortress at Vanhelm over here. So one thing that I forgot to talk about is the provinces over here. Each and every single different province has a few things going on for it. First and foremost, I think I talked about these forests being really good at generating resources. Well, these swamplands over here, while they don't generate very good income and they actually hinder movement, you'll see that like the swamplands are marked really oddly. They're marked by this coloration with like the little weeds and whatnot and little mushrooms. These places, they're not very good for finding natural resources and whatnot and income, but they do have a slightly better chance of generating magical sites, so we do have to kind of keep that in mind. And over here we have some farmland, good income. I think I already talked about that. Cities are also good for income. That's kind of why we found the fortress here. One of the more special types of places that I don't think I've talked about are places on the map marked by this little circle thing, and this is essentially saying that this mountain range here is actually hollow, so there's a cave inside it. Once again, low income, excellent resources, kind of like the forests, and I'm not too familiar with these things, these little what appear to be rocks standing out in the open, and these little circle things, which are actually the top part of the temple. But it doesn't look like we can find one of those ones that aren't being blocked by a mountain. But anyways, those also exist. And then there are these little crop circle things, fairy circles, I guess. So there are a couple of sites on the map that we do have to take note of. Oh, okay, there's another city up here. So yeah, we're definitely doing a lot of different movements now, and one thing that I've taken note of is that I've actually upgraded our Prince of Death here. I've actually given him some equipment to help him out. He currently is in a place that isn't in our own dominion, unfortunately. So he's actually taking a little bit of damage, or rather a little bit of a penalty to the maximum amount of hit points that he has, simply because he is not inside his own domain. With that said, we want to kind of convert this place into our own domain as fast as possible, because I would rather test him out in battle, seeing as how I've equipped him with some gear. Right now, I'm just going to check about our different troop movements, seeing as I'm trying to get some of reinforcements to the Van Helm Fortress here, because how essentially sieges work inside the game is that once we jump on into the battle screen, our enemies will essentially be given a little bit of a passive benefit in that he has he has the ability to essentially use the walls to effectively fire down and barrage our troops with like some low-level projectile weapons is what they will essentially be doing there, and that just kind of gives them a passive bonus to just kind of whittle down our forces. But the more important thing about that is the fact that one of the things that he can do is that he can effectively what am I trying to say here? He can just kind of he can channel our troops into this kind of like a small doorway in a sense, and all of our troops have to essentially go through the main gate inside their little fortress. So it sets it up as this little battle where our troops just kind of slowly pour into the enemies' lines, while they have just a ton of guys fighting our slow but steady stream of reinforcements is what essentially happens. So what I'm trying to do here is that I'm trying to set up our battle orders now that, well, it's been a few turns, so that being said, I've actually been able to raise quite a lot of the undead, and we're essentially just going to be using these guys as meat shields. I'm just trying to sort out our leadership, trying to get an adequate amount of these little standard bearers inside the various different formations that we have, and we are essentially setting up for the breach of the gate. We do have like a few mages here present, but I don't know, yeah, but they're not really high leveled, so they can't really cast a lot of magic. So that's kind of why from the rear we're bringing forward some fire mages and some higher tiered thaumaturgs, which are going to be able to cast some more of the deadly spells. I've already equipped our Demigod here with a few different weapons, and I'm just going to end the turn. Hopefully we break down the door to their fortress over there this time, and hopefully I will be able to show you guys why equipping our Prince of Death with different weapons is very, very useful. So let's see, some more random events happened. It looks like we found another fire gem producing place, which is good. Conquered a province with our Demigod, but unfortunately he didn't fight anything. And we are still destroying the fort gate at Van Helm, and that's going to take a little bit of time, so we're just going to have to wait it out. But in the meantime, I mean, we can just shuttle some more of our priests forward, like that. Have a scout here, which is going to take a look at the enemy's fortress a little bit more, and I'll get our Demigod to arrive here. So, now that we actually have a ton of people here at the siege, we can assign some orders to the different mages. Starting with the fire mages, simply because I know that their spells fairly well. Okay, so they have a few different spells here that they can use. Most of them are just simply like offensive attacks inside this evocation school of magic. The ones that we are mainly looking for are Flare, which is a little bit of an area of effect attack, and it's essentially a fireball, a larger fireball of sorts. And these two are the what I would consider primary attacks for them. I'm essentially going to get them to cast a ton of fireball spells at the beginning of the game, or at the beginning of the match, so they are essentially going to become human machine guns, and hopefully they will just spit out those things like that. I'm going to get another mage here to cast a few other spells. I'm going to get this guy to cast Communion Master, and I'm going to get this guy to cast Communion Slave, and I'm going to try to find another guy to cast Communion Slave. And how this works is that if you have enough of these Astral Mages, you can chain, I think I already talked about this too, you can essentially chain them with the Communion Master and Communion Slave skills. And how it works is that if you have two slaves and one master, essentially those two slaves will pull up their magic and give an additional level to your communion master. So for example, our two thaumaturg slaves have both one astral magic and one death magic, so they're going to give the communion master one level of astral magic and one level of death magic, which is rather useful. And they also split the fatigue cost. The reason I'm going to use the fireball spell, as you saw there, instead of the flare spell, is because you can only cast flare twice before your mages are exhausted. So yeah, fireball you can cast 5 times, a little better. With these communion chains, the fatigue, I believe, is split about all of the different people part of the communion. So that makes things a little bit simpler there. So they will probably cast, I don't know, maybe Arcane Bolt or something like that. Let's see what else we have here. Raise skeletons. I'll just let the communion do its own thing, but I'm just going to keep them there. So yeah, that is kind of that. Just going to let them do their own thing right there, and then in a few turns the siege should be able to break their gates, and we should be able to move in there. And let's take a look at that new magical site that we found, which is supposedly somewhere around here. You should search for magical sites over there, because I don't know if there is anything right on that Throne of Ascension tile. Over here we found a enchanted pyre, generates fire gems. Once again, fairly useful. I mean, fire gems are the most common type out there, but you generally have a large use for them, and it looks like we are accumulating a lot of death gems. So let's see if we can actually use those for any particular thing. Arouse hunger. Let's see. Somebody curses somebody far away, turns them into ghouls. Not very interesting. We can use these death gems to actually create some magical items, but currently, I mean, there's just not very many things that are very, very prominent to us, really. Could make a lucky coin. This is actually a fairly useful item, but it takes astral pearls as opposed to death gems, and because we have a large amount of those, I might switch our research into conjuration, where we can summon a few undead beings and whatnot. Or alternatively, I might just pour our research into something like enchantment. Once again, has a few magic, has a few spells here that are pretty good for death magic, or actually construction, because it'd be cool if we could construct things with level 6 construction, which would be making the really heavy magical artifacts and whatnot. So let's see. Suddenly an arrow fell out of the sky and struck one of our shamans. He died instantaneously. That is a magical spell that you can place, and it just shoots magical arrows at enemy commanders. Ooh, entrance at Vanham has been broken, so that is good. Over here, I've been just kind of passively recruiting these shamans, simply because we will be using these guys as troop healers in a little bit. And right now, all I would really like to do is get some of the troops forward and get some of these mages to be continuing the research. So we're going to get level 5 alteration in a bit, and that should nab us, quite a lot of fire powers. One of the important ones is Transmute Fire over here, which is actually able to convert fire gems into gold in the event that we need to do that. Generally speaking, I mean, we have a ton, like, fire gems are typically the most common gems available. So yeah, that's going to be nice, and it looks like we get a few different spells like Enfeeble over here. Nice little thing that makes, that's a really nice little debuff for enemy armies. Has a nice little area of effect, so it can hit up to 18 troops at once at the cost of 1 death gem. That's nice. Invulnerability, that's going to be useful as well. Drain life, another thing that's pretty useful, but nothing super powerful. Let's see. Skeletal Legion seems fairly useful. Makes our troops a little stronger. Makes all troops actually a little stronger. But I'm trying to figure out where is a particularly good spell to use, but I can't really find one for now, so we'll just leave it at that. Since the siege here is, just kind of going on, I will get people to start storming the castles. So we're going to get everybody to do so. Actually, you know what? Easier way to do this, we're just going to select all of these guys, and we're going to give them all the combined order of storming the castle. So they'll take all of their guys, and they will essentially burst into Vanhelm and take out whatever is there. I believe the opposing Demigod is there. So what we're going to do is that we're actually going to go to our Prince of Death here. I'm going to put him inside the upper corner of the battlefield, and I'm going to give him a few orders. I'm going to get him the order to cast a specific spell for now, and he is going to cast a luck for himself. Where is personal luck here? There we go. Personal luck for himself. And then after that, do we need to cast any other spells for him? He's going to cast Frighten. No, actually, he's just going to cast Personal Luck, which will make it so that attacks have I think like a 50% chance to hit him, and I believe that stacks with our items here, which will make him more powerful, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as soon as we get into the battle here, because now that we've equipped our Demigod with a few items, he should be actually one of the really notable field commanders out there. So let's see, yeah, the fortress is going to be stormed. We had a lot of troops there, and they also had a lot of troops there. We actually lost quite a bit of people. We lost 136 out of our 400 people, but it looks like the majority of those guys are those soulless warriors, which are undead troops that we can raise for pretty much free. They lost a few Dwarven Smiths. They've lost their little commanders, and it looks like we've routed them. Oh, yeah, we've killed their Demigod, which is the son of Fenrir over here. So I'm going to view that battle and see how that went. I really want to see how our Demigod performed. Yeah, this is the passive defender. It's just simply a wall, and there's a little corridor here. So if you have like really big elephant-like units, then you're going to have some troubles getting your troops in. So now, if everything works, what our unit setup here is going to be is that the long dead over here should essentially soak up all the arrows, and because they are skeletons, they should be fairly resilient to those attacks. Our second line here is composed of these Triatus, a long spearmen. So they are using they're well-drilled in formations, so they can use the double line formation here really rather well, and they're just going to kind of form a line here, and behind that is really the majority of our fighting troops. And as you can see here, our fire mages are starting to cast those fireball attacks. I'm not sure what the communion setup is actually going to do, but it looks like they have a ton of these ogres here. I mean, those fireballs are good against dealing damage to regular units, but they're not really all that great at dealing with ogres. Our commander over here, our Demigod, he has a few specialty things that he can do now that he's upgraded with a few items, but I kind of want to see how this progresses before we really talk about that. Our enemy here is casting a lot of those banishment spells, so I think if you're into astral magic, or holy or divine magic, so like priests and whatnot, they can cast a fair amount of spells that do a lot of damage to the undead. But then again, we can get them for free, so it should be fine. And it looks like we casted a spell called the Protection of the Sepulchre. I'm going to see what that actually does. So let's take a look at the various different stats that we have here. And I kind of want to figure out what this Sepulchre spell does, but looks like it went away and came back, so I guess I'll check that later on. But it looks like inside our rear here, the majority of our Thaumaturgs are ethereal units now, and it looks like they've also used body ethereal on some of our troops, so that's nice. And our Demigod is here inside the fray, so he should be able to do some massive damage. For him, what I've equipped him with is a Flame Blue, I think is how this is pronounced. So this is essentially just a really rather powerful double-handed sword. It actually also has the spell Holy Pyre onto it, so he'll be able to burn quite a lot of units with this spell. It's actually an area effect thing, so he'll be able to cast that as well, in addition to just kind of using the thing as a sword, of course. We still have the magical whatnots going on. He cast Invulnerable on himself, so he's going to be very, very hard to damage. And yeah, that should carry over here, where his total protection versus mundane attacks will be 27, which is nice. We've equipped him with a horror helm, which is going to increase the fear value of him. So he's going to demoralize, he's going to demoralize the enemy troops. Although against ogres, it probably won't do anything. I've equipped him with a robe of shadows, which is going to give him stealth boost, but also make him ethereal. So in addition to being very tough on the defense, he's going to be nearly unhittable with non-magical weapons. So that's kind of that. And in addition to that, I've given him a little amulet of anti-magic here. So even if he is hit with magic, they're going to have a hard time bringing him down even with magic. So yeah, it's kind of an all-inclusive setup. But the only problem is that because we're going into somebody else's domain or dominion's territory, he does get a health penalty from it. He would usually have 66 points in health, but unfortunately, because there are those black candles present, he only has 13. But the chances of somebody hitting him are barely anything. So now I should be able to speed up the game here and really see what happens. Unfortunately, you can't disable what this barrier looks like, so we're just going to have to kind of either view the ogres or view our own troops. Yeah, so they do have a nice little blockade system going on here where we can't really get in there very well. Okay, now we should be able to see what that sepulcher thing does, hopefully. No, still not. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, from the looks of it, our Demigod is going to be able to kill one of those ogres every turn. I've got to say, those javelins are fairly effective right now. I mean, they're doing quite a lot of damage, but it looks like because there's this whole gate thing, we might have a little bit of a problem. It looks like our shadow missiles and our shadows are paralyzing some of the ogres. So because they have like this narrow frontage here, at least we're able to kind of contain what damage their ogres are able to do, right? So that's kind of good. Yeah, and because we have a lot of infantry here, a lot of javelins are going to come down onto the map. At this point in the battle, it looks like the fire mages are getting fatigued by quite a little bit here. So if I click on them, yeah, they have 74 fatigue. So they're getting tired, and it looks like they can't cast any more fireballs, and they've resorted to lesser tiring spells. Oh my, this is a long battle, wow. What is their demigod doing is what I'm wondering right now. It looks like their demigod has quite a lot of strength. Yeah, that's because they're berserk and they have a dominion bonus. So it looks like their demigod is a berserker. So if their demigod is wounded, it can go into this berserk stage where it can do a lot of damage, but its defense is reduced and it'll get fatigue passively. So that's kind of that. I don't really know why the AI decided to give its demigod a eye of aiming, Seeing as how this item gives a precision bonus, generally useful if you have like some sort of ranged caster guy armed with a like there's a bow inside the game that essentially shoots down thunderbolts. If you have a eye of aiming there, that's pretty helpful. But seeing as how this guy he uses a length 0 attack, a melee attack, I don't really know why they have that there. And because our Demigod can fly, we can kind of get around the battlefield really easily. But because of how the game is set up, we obviously can't really influence him all that much. Oh, okay, so that was kind of, yeah, that was that battle. Not really much to say, apart from it was an easy victory, although it did cost us quite a bit. Let's see what the death tolls are. Just a few, oh no, one standard died. Yeah, those standards that we have to keep alive, the other people are, like, you know, completely irrelevant, so, let's see, yeah, that's fine and all. Managed to conquer their place, and now we should have access to their little capitals as goods here. So inside the enemy's capital, they have 2 sites. They have Valhalla, which produces air gems and allows us to recruit some other stuff, and this Halls of Anver. So we should be able to, I believe we should be able to recruit those guys. No, we can't. Oh well. Yeah, I'm not terribly sure on how those things work, but I guess we aren't able to recruit those guys after all. Anyways, we did take the enemy capital over here, so that is a very, very good thing. With that being said, I'm going to ungroup all of these guys, and now we need to, now because we have a lot of mages and we're starting to use them in combat, we need to start assigning these guys like groups of people to essentially follow. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to group the fire mages together, the regular mages together, and I'm effectively just going to ungroup all of our armies. So that's going to let them kind of do their own thing like that. I'll get all of our thaumaturg people to stay back, and they're just going to raise the undead. Damn it. They are going, they're not going to cast anything. The problem with this menu is that if you like click on one of these little options, you have to kind of reissue the command to everybody. I mean, it works, but like if you have a lot of these guys, it does get pretty tiring. So we're going to issue reanimate orders for them because there are 212 or 222 corpses inside the place, inside the little fortress here. I'm going to get the little priest here to build a temple, and then he's essentially just going to spread our dominion around. And it looks like this faction actually still has another castle around there, so that's fine and all. I'm going to get our guys over here to build a lab and temple, just for the sake of having a lab and temple right there. Actually, we don't need a lab. We do need to start pushing back the dominion strength of those guys, so that's what I'm essentially trying to do there. And inside the rear of our columns, first and foremost, we're going to be doing a little more research. But we need to bring our troops forward onto the field. So what I think I'll do is that I need a commander really fast, and to just kind of use up some of these death gems, I'll just recruit another revenant. And this guy should be able to shuttle these troops. Oh wait, no, he's only able to carry 15 regular types of troops. But what exactly are these revenants good for? They're not really good for anything actually, so we will not be doing that. Instead, I think I'll just I'll get this commander to go forward, and I think I'll get the regular commanders to effectively move down here. So yeah, get these guys moving. And now we're going to have to do a little bit of army reorganization. So for example, this guy doesn't necessarily need to lead troops if other guys can do so. Gradually your commanders, you probably noticed this by now, but your commanders do gain experience over time, and then they are able to command more and more troops over time as well. So with that being said, I mean, we'll be doing a little bit of an army reorganization here. And what I want this column to do is I'm going to put a lot of these guys with them, and I think I'll get Galbus over here, this commander, to go back. And we really need to set up a chain of commanders, with commanders going to the rear, picking up new units and bringing them to the front. So yeah, we're going to need to start doing that. But right now, what I kind of want to do is that I kind of want to equip our little commander here a little more, our demigod a little more. So let's see, we can give him a Bane Venom Charm, which is used to poison enemy armies, so he's going to spread disease around with him. Kind of useful, but we don't necessarily need it. Give him the no, don't really need that either. Don't really need that either. Have that. Pendant of Luck. Well, we're going to make a Pendant of Luck. Which is going to give our commander obviously luck again. Actually, I think I already have something that does it. Or no, we don't. Do I have something that does that? No, I do not. Okay, well we're going to make that. And then we're going to give that to our demigod here, which is going to make him even further unhittable. So yeah, we're going to definitely stack that up. Let's see what happened here. So it looks like we fought another battle, which is fine. Start doing some research inside the rear columns, that's good. Get this guy to the front. And this guy also to the front, and these guys to the rear. So that, yeah, so that should leave us back at Banhelm with the mages over here and our demigod. So with our demigod, what I'm going to do is that I am going to equip him with that little amulet of luck. So he's going to get this little 4-leaf clover here. So lucky units are protected by fate. When a lucky unit is, while lucky, there is a 75% chance of not being harmed by an attack that would have otherwise been fatal. So we've essentially added another little bit of oomph to our demigod here, and I'm going to get him to actually just kind of prove himself, and I'm going to attack this Throne of Ascension essentially only with him. He should be able to take him out. But in the event that he doesn't and is either killed or has to fall back, we are able to resurrect him, so it's not really that big of a deal. Get these two guys to preach, this guy to also preach. And time to check on our research. So we're getting a lot of alteration magic. That's at level 5 now, so we are able to use these spells over here. Probably going to switch that into evocation now, because it'd be nice to get level 4, get that fire cloud spell, which is a large AoE fire dropping spell. Falling fires would also, yeah, falling fires would be even better. And then we can get Shadow Blast, which is also pretty useful. I really just need spells to get rid of these death gems that I have a lot of. I mean, we could go into Conjuration as well. Speaking of magic, we should also be searching for magical sites right now, so I'm going to get these guys to do that. Over here, same thing, get some guy to search for magical sites. And that should be that. And okay, so next turn, and let's see what happens. Okay, so we've searched places, no magical things were found. That's slightly disappointing. There was a battle over here. Apparently we didn't find anybody, but we took losses somehow. Maybe some of our units are poisoned, and our Prince of Death was able to kill off 59 people, which is good. And our troops are starving in this siege thing. Okay, well anyways, let's view the Demigods' rampage over here. So, it starts off with the Shadows. They are all ethereal units, so nobody should be able to hit them. And what I think this battle will be is that it's just that because our Demigod is effectively stacked with so many things that render him invulnerable, I have the feeling what this is going to be is that because he doesn't attack very fast, it's going to be this little slow phase where he just kind of kills them off one by one until they rally. No, we killed like 3 of them and then they routed. Okay, well, fair enough. Let's see, so we're going to grab another throne, the Throne of Pestilence, which is going to spread our dominion around, so that's good, but it's also going to increase the amount of earth gems that we're going to get. That might be a problem because or not earth gems, but the other type of gem. What's it called? Death gems. There we go. And I don't really want those. I'm going to check up on some of these items again. See what we can grab. Spell focus. Spell. Nope. What I'm looking for is a. Oh, this is a fairly useful item. The Alvo Quill, which is able to increase your research. But because we're playing an AI game, I'm not going to pick that up. Simply just for the or no, we should pick those up. Going to grab a few of those, so let's grab a handful of mages and let's construct some quills, which will make our research a little faster. Great, not all of these guys can build it. That's just great. Great. Okay, well, everybody researches, and we're going to have to select the few people who are actually able to build it then. So can you build the Owl Quill? Yes, you can. Can you build it? Online, there's like a reference thing saying like which people, what requirements, what magical requirements you need to build each and every single item. It looks like the Quill thing needs level 1 air magic to build, so we're just going to let them do that. These guys, this guy should be searching for magical sites. I guess they're part of a group, so we'll just leave them there for now. Commanders should be coming back home, so they should come over here. This guy actually should come to... yeah, this guy should go back. This guy should get over there. Demigod's gonna go forward once again. And how many of the undead do we have so far? Yeah, so right now we're raising a little force of the undead from all of the corpses over there, and we need 1 commander to move his troops forward because we're currently having a little bit of a problem here. Because we actually have so many troops that the province can't handle it, and after 1 turn, after your initial notification about your troops starving, you gradually lose troops to attrition if you stay inside this province. Simply because we have more troops than the land can support. So we do need to kind of solve that problem by moving our army off. And I think that'll actually conclude this turn. So that'll be kind of that. A lot of battles this time. Let's see, we've claimed a throne, we've searched some places, a battle has started, and it looks like diseases are starting to spread inside this province, which is not a good thing. So we're going to get these 2 guys to move somewhere else and let the big army here do all of the siege and whatnot. And it looks like we found another faction down here, although they seem to be using... oh, I think these guys are Ullum. I'm not sure about it. We can actually check really fast, actually. So let's go to the nation overview. No, the score graphs, and that's on Mantis. Yeah, it's Ullum. The blue banner here is Ullum, which is a faction relying on heavy infantry. And the nice thing about them is that they can actually build these Dwarven Smiths, I believe, which automatically are able to increase the, like, just because they have these Dwarven Smiths, if these guys stay inside a province, they will automatically essentially generate resources, making them really good for building armies that contain a lot of like really heavy infantry, because you do need all of that resources to build them, right? So they're kind of helpful like that. I think I'll get the fire mages to come out here and start searching provinces and whatnot. But for now, that's kind of that. We're still teching up for evocation. Managed to grab level 4 here, so we got Bolt of Unlife and Bane Fire Dart. Let's see, these are just one-person attacks. What I'm more or less worried about is getting AoE damage. So like things like Shadow Blast is going to be really useful. And I think Shadow Blast, what this essentially does is that it'll either kill off all of the enemy people and then paralyze them if they're not dead. And I believe there's also another thing, yeah, this thing, I think. Blast of Unlife. It doesn't have as big of a radius as the other spell, but if it kills the enemy troops, the enemy troops will essentially come back to life as undead troops fighting for us. So that's rather helpful. And I think, yeah, this is the larger version of it. But it requires somebody with, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 death magic to cast. But that's alright because I know of a way to boost our magical spells up, so that should be fine. Just end the turn like that, see what happens. What I really want to do right now is that I want to equip my my Demigod with something that increases his speed, but unfortunately I do not have anything that can do that just yet. Get these guys to storm the castle, I suppose. Fire mages to search, and our Demigod to fight a battle inside the cave here. Our Demigod, I believe, is he's better at fighting in the darkness, and what caves and the ocean do is that if you fight deep inside the ocean, there's a natural darkness there, and then there's also a natural darkness in caves, which make shadow units really good, and I think light units really bad, but I'm not terribly sure about it. These guys should come over here. These guys should move forward. And I think they'll just, yeah, they'll continue searching. And our Dominion is starting to spread over here, so that is good. We're going to do one more fight, storm the castle, and then take a look at fighting the giants inside the cave. And then I think I'll end the part this time. So let's see, fight inside the dead marshes, the forces of Ulm were destroyed, and then the battle with in the cave. And it looks like we only managed to kill 9 of their troops, but we managed to break them. And then we stormed the fortress. So let's take a look at the most interesting battle over here, which is probably this one. The one in the Dead Marshes against Ulm. So let's see what they have. They have giants, some heavy infantry, some generic heavy infantry, and some of their own faction-specific guys. Okay, well let's take a look at their unit cast. They have some ogres here, heavy smashers, some cavemen over here. Decent heavy smashers, a little low on the protection department, but I guess they're alright. In the back they have this knight unit, this Black Lord, which is their commander. Decent guy, heavy damage, decent heavy protection, which is rather nice about him. And you can make him into a pretty strong fighter who is going to be able to change the sway of the battle, but he doesn't have any magical items, so everything should be fine there. Our guys, armed with the really long spears, should be able to keep these guys back, but we're going to definitely suffer a few losses from the ogres and whatnot. What I'm worried about are their black plate infantry here. These guys they're average in most categories, but the best thing about them is that they have a high protection value of 21 by default. So that is essentially like enough to negate most weapons if they don't have the pierce damage trait, I believe. So yeah, they are fairly powerful. I mean, our guys over here with the long spears have 18 protection, so they're also pretty good. But our guys are a little superior to theirs in the sense that our long spears have a length of 5 and their hammers have a length of 1, so we should be able to parry their attacks rather easily. They also brought a gigantic scorpion. There's really not much to say about it, apart from the fact that it exists, and it is a gigantic scorpion that can poison troops. Okay, well it looks like our spearmen are really good at keeping the enemies' heavy infantry here at bay. They have broadswords, so actually our protection is higher than their broadswords, and I don't believe that those broadswords are slash based weapons, so I don't believe they are actually able to go through our protection, especially with our tower shields and whatnot. So these long spear troopers are essentially able to parry all of the attacks from these swordsmen. So that's rather neat, and against Olm I guess we should essentially continue building these long spearmen, seeing as how we can essentially keep them at bay forever. I like the Scorpion, who's just like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I've had enough of this. I'm just going to go now. Seeing as how he was trying, I think the Scorpion was trying to take out one of our guys, and he just wasn't hitting him. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go home now. The thing about Ullum's infantry is that they are fairly slow, and as you can see here, our troops are actually catching up to them, but we don't seem to be able to get a hit off. So that's good. Let's see. It looks like one player was actually vanished. Midgard is surprisingly still around because their religion is still present inside this tile. Going to have to do something about that later on. I really want to see what has happened in the battle inside the cave over here. Okay, so yeah, they bring in quite a lot of these troops, you know, we've already taken a look at all of them. The only other thing that we should take a look at is these Black Plague infantry from Ulm with these mauls. So, yeah, just a slightly different variation on the ones with the hammers over there. But I mean, what should happen is that our Demigod should be able to kill these guys. Oh, I see. We were able to rout the enemy, but we weren't able to kill a lot of guys simply because that's just kind of not what we do. Okay, fair enough. In that case, we're still getting armies shipped down from the coast. Where's our other commander? Yeah, we're getting a lot of fire mages over here. They're just going to do a lot of research for now, and a Legatus Legion is back there. We'll essentially just cap that off. And I think I said we were signing off here, so yeah, we're going to just, you know, continue on next time. Bye-bye. Be sure to like and subscribe as always. And next time we should be going back to Conquest, and we should hopefully have enough evocations, cast some more spells. So see you guys then. Bye-bye.